the Life After High School podcast.
Yep, that sounds pretty good. Miss Stanyon,
Hey.
welcome to the show. I appreciate you.
Well, thank you for having me,
Awesome,
and I hope
no
I
problem.
do not disappoint you and your listeners or viewers.
Awesome. So we'll dive into it then. So this is a question I'm kind of reflected on wanting to ask you for a long time. Yeah. So where does this, whether it be in classrooms, in like swim team meetings, or like right now, where does your positive energy and enthusiasm stem from?
Where does it come from? Ooh, that's a good question right off the bat. Well, I have a zest for life.
Nice.
I know that moving, similar to what I did this morning, like getting outside, doing some yoga, doing some skiing, makes me feel more energetic.
Mm-hmm.
And I've realized in the past 48 years that I gain energy from talking to people.
Right.
And I really do enjoy getting to know somebody, to talk to them, and to learn a little bit more about them. So that, I think, is where I get my energy.
Nice.
And I feel like I want to be a life enhancer. I don't want to like bring anybody
Like
down.
Yeah.
And I think if I give off good energy, that they're going to give me good energy, and
Sure.
that's what I've noticed in the past several years.
Nice.
Yeah.
When did that switch, I guess, flip for you? Were you doing like something specific, or going through something that made you go, you know what, I got to enhance life now?
Oh, you know what? This is between me and you and the viewers.
Okay.
But I don't know that I was the nicest young person.
Okay.
I loved school, but later on I learned that I wasn't always positive to everybody. I definitely had my good friends, but I think I made some people feel badly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just a bit of a jerk.
Yeah.
And so then when I had the opportunity to teach, I noticed that I didn't like the kind of kid that I was. And through that, I think I'm sort of an advocate for that kid that
Right.
sort of was left behind or was not bullied, but not included.
Okay. Right.
And so that, I think, switched for me while I was teaching at Lockerbie.
Yeah. So how many years have you been at Lockerbie now?
Ooh, that's a good question too. I think more than 20.
Wow.
I just recently met somebody and I said, how old are you? And he said, I'm 41. And I taught him in my, I don't know, second or third year of
Wow.
teaching. So that made me reflect. Yeah,
No
so
kidding.
at least 22 years and probably teaching
nice.
since 1993, 94. But it
Wow.
doesn't seem like that.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
feel like I'm your age.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. You said that when you walked in. You're like, yeah. She's like, for everybody watching and listening. What does he say? Like, how old are you? I'm like, I'll be 24 in July. She's like, yeah, me too. I was like, all right, nice.
That's how I feel
Yeah.
after a day of like being outside and skiing and yeah.
Which is it. Like, that's sweet. So I'm curious then, with all those years, how has the student culture changed?
Ooh, that's a good question too.
Especially with technology.
How did you know? That was my number one note. Is I was thinking like adolescent, it's immutable, it's
Yeah.
stayed the same in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
They still want to try to figure out who they are, who their people are. They want to know like what am I going to be in the future.
Yeah.
So that's all the same, but technology has played a huge part. And I don't know that I would say for the best.
Why is that?
Especially in recent with the phones.
Yeah.
I mean, I love kids, and I come to them and I have my phone and I'm like, show me how to, and help me set this and add this to a playlist. And there's amazing things, and I think they're incredible. They're not afraid of it,
Right.
and they're so competent with it, and they produce amazing things with their laptops or with their phones.
Okay.
Like I'm like, oh my god, I'm blown away. Where I used to have to teach kids how to do things, very in a small way, they can just attach. They can just jump all over it. But the technology where they have addictions, but so do adults. But in the classroom, it's not benefiting them.
No, I can imagine.
And I think the number one reason why it's not benefiting, like the social media and the norms that they're trying to obtain, and knowing where somebody is at every point, where the parties are, where they're not included. There's unbelievable amount of people not being positive, the comments. And I think that they're using this and not getting outside. They're not interacting. They're not going to parties. They're not, like, yeah, you'd be surprised at what I'll tell the kids. Like, go out, mix and mingle.
Yeah.
And a parent came up to me last year at prom and she said, did you tell my daughter to go and have sex? And I said, well, no, I didn't. I didn't say that. But I said, you know what, don't sit in your bedrooms and just like make connections. Like, go out and I'd rather you like make some connections, healthy choices, of course.
Explore experience,
but they're not going outside, so, and as a result of technology, I think a lot of kids are anxious. There's a lot of false news out there, talking about the coronavirus. They think that the climate change is going to impact, of course, and that's probably so, but it just comes thrown at them, and I think people are scared and anxious and stressed, and you got to put that technology down. Go make some relationships. Go outside. Move.
Nice. And I find, especially now, like there is a good and a bad to everything, but especially with the access to information that you have in your hand, there's such thing. I believe firmly that there's too much information available.
So much information at a snap.
Yeah.
And we necessarily know how to weed out the good information and the proper information and the right the scientific information compared to the non-scientific,
So what do you
the
believe?
fake news.
Yeah, how do you source it and all that stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like fact checking a lot. I find when I'm going into, like, you type in something if you want to know it, like about the coronavirus, and then you find, is it going to come to Canada or where is it? And it's not. I think it was one case in Victoria or in BC. I don't know. I think it was in BC, and I don't know if it was Vancouver or Victoria. It was with a V. I know that much. I know that, but I don't think it was like an outbreak. And it's where in China is the main one. I think is that where it stemmed from.
Oh yeah. The borders are closed.
Yeah.
I think that is true.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of fake news going around, and I think it makes people panic.
Yeah.
And scared and stressed. And we don't need that.
No. I find it does, and I was talking to my nephews about this. I'll ask them a question, or I'm having a conversation, and then there's the weirdest thing. Like I think it was my 10-year-old nephew. I was talking to my dad about something, or sorry, his dad about something, so my oldest brother, and then he chimed into the conversation with something, and the only reason he was able to contribute is I was like, how do you know that, right? And that was my reaction. He's like, oh, well, I Googled it. It's like, you just found out that? Like, I almost now, when somebody's like, oh, what about like what, for example, like what pay-per-view that did John Jones fight at last, or where were we? I was like, what was UFC's 229? I was like, okay, no, Google it, no. I almost like to challenge my brain to go back to find it.
Yes.
Yeah, but I don't know. Kids being so needy on their phones is kind of.
And not just kids. It's kids and it's adults, and it's
STEM
so
to adults now too.
Addictive. Oh, absolutely. I've got young kids at home as well, and I think to some extent I want to be a part of what they're going through. I want to know the language.
Yeah.
And so recently a student made me an account on TikTok.
Nice.
Which is my kids.
The kids love it.
Well, my own kids are like scared.
Yeah.
And but you can see how that can become.
There's a lot of stuff on TikTok I'm showing that I'm like, you can't. I don't know whether to laugh or cry sometimes.
Well, I follow the old people TikTok, so I get the recipes and how to stand for a photo. Yeah, so my content's pretty tame. But I want to dance like the TikTokers.
Yeah.
But I can see how that can just and a waste of time.
It is. I think that's what.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I think of it as a tool almost, and it's like you go on Pinterest or TikTok in your case, and you want to find like how to bake the perfect oatmeal raisin cookies, and you look it up and go, oh, okay, and then this old woman explains how you make it, and then you bake them, and everyone's happy.
Yeah. Then
you're using it to watch inappropriate stuff, and people are dancing weird, and like they're really young. There's so many young kids on there that's just, read a book.
I know. But a lot of people, like with technology you're asking, a lot of kids find it that's how they are making connections. Like I'm saying, put your phone down and go make real connections. And some of my students will say, you know what, I would never have had a relationship. And they do find these relationships where they can talk to people. And another positive thing I've noticed is we're much more accepting of the LGBTQ community.
That's true.
As a result of that. And in schools, it's nothing to have, your classmate be non-binary and we're using the they, and the kids don't even think twice about it.
Right.
So there are some positives, and I think a lot of people use this to make, good connections and good relationships, and there's a place for them to speak.
Right. In that case, it's a really good tool.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, sure.
I think so.
Do you find it has to, like what social media does, especially nowadays, you have to, like as a teacher, do you find you have to like tuck in your artistry or your creativity a bit, or your outgoingness? I don't know.
Do I have to tone it down on social media?
Or like just in general, because like kids using their phones all the time and stuff. You were like, you ever nervous? You get like caught saying something or doing something out of context.
Mm-hmm.
Often, always out of context.
Mm-hmm.
I find.
Always, and there are cases where teachers have been out of context.
Yeah.
And you can see, because I'm a little bit wild in the classroom, whether it's in the French class or the gym. Sometimes I don't know what's going on, but I'm standing on the table trying to get a point across, and then you can see the kids' phones come out, and then I'll just make a point, like, okay, well, make sure that I have consent.
Yes.
And yes, you may, just like in life, with anything, just make sure it's your consent, it's consensual.
Yeah.
And I do have an Instagram account because I love to follow Lockerbie Sports, and it's kids generated, and I do have them follow me back, but a lot of it is high school content.
Right.
Or team content, and I think it's a nice way to develop a relationship.
Absolutely.
And it's not just one-to-one, it's usually in a group text, or even I have a Snapchat group for my cross-country running, cross-country swimming, cross-country skiing, and swimming groups.
It's quick.
And the kids sometimes make a mistake, and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to post that. And they're genuine. I'm like, okay, maybe. But it's a learning. Nice. And it's 2020, and you've got to make connections different ways.
Right.
As long as, everybody's happy and healthy.
Yeah, that's fair. I find with that, I love it and I hate it. Like, I don't know if you experience this as well. Like, if you're on it for long enough and you get in like a scrolling habit, and you start scrolling, then I get almost anxious seeing it, like you said earlier. I'll get anxious and I go, oh, like I could start comparing everyone else's highlight reel to what I'm doing at that moment, which is nothing. And then you're like, oh, fuck, I should go do something, I should go do something. Then you get like anxious, you're like, what should I do, what should I do? And you start like asking people to do stuff, and then you're like, wait.
Yes.
For that reason, I'm not a fan, but it's also like the reason I'm able to meet, like have you on the show.
Yay!
And then have other people on the show who I have no relationship with.
Yeah.
Prior to. Alright, so for that reason, it's good and bad.
Right. I love keeping in contact with old students and seeing where they are, and contacting them for their expertise. Like I'm often contacting students who I've taught 20 years ago and asking them for their advice and their input, whether it's like a medical condition or like an athletic condition, or asking for favors. I think I enjoy it. Yeah. And as long as you know your limits, just moderation is. Right. And as an adult, I don't find myself comparing. I don't care anymore. Right. But as a young person, it's got to be really stressful. Right. Especially bodies and what they're eating and all these fads, and I've got no patience for that. But as an adult, you can sort of weed that out, I think.
I'm like getting there. I'm just not at your level yet for being able to weed it out.
No, I was forced. It'll come eventually. That's the bonus of getting older. Right. Okay. Is having
filter it all away.
Yeah, the experiences. And the best thing I've learned as being older is that you can have good times and bad times and good times, and that's just definitely gonna come and go. So even if you're having a shitty day and social media looks whatever, that it's gonna get better, it's gonna get worse, so it's gonna get better. Yeah.
And we always see nowadays on social media is all the good.
Yeah.
Right? No one's gonna post a sad photo, but ups and downs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, there was a strike recently, and I'm just curious what common misconceptions are there when it comes to people seeing, like, foreground about striking. I drive by and I see teachers out striking, and all you hear is, oh, they want more money, but oftentimes that's not the direct thing that they want.
So it's really complicated right now because there are a number of unions. We've got like the French public, we've got the French Catholic, we've got the elementary school, we've got the teachers. And to navigate this as a non-teacher, non-union OSSTF person, it's complicated. So in my case, I'm a high school teacher and we're represented by the OSSTF, and I've been out 2 times for daily strikes.
Okay.
So once we went out as an entire province on a Wednesday, and I don't look forward to it. I hate it.
Right.
And I don't like it because, as you said, the community has all been to school.
Yeah.
Like everybody has been to school, so everybody is an expert in teaching. Some have had positive teaching experiences with teachers, and some have had negative, just like in probably everything. And we all know that teachers work, 8:15 till 2:30. We get all this time off. We are we're lazy, and we should just take what we're given. And it's always about money. We always want money. In fact, I think, and I know from my own colleagues and from my own experience, that that's not the case. We're actually in it because we like young people and we like to teach. I get a kick out of it. And a day in front of a class is way better than a snow day when no one shows up, or those PD days. It's way better to be in front of people, and we love doing sports. That's I enjoy. That's where you make those connections.
Yeah, true.
So this time around, I'm not a big fan of our government who's leading our province right now. I'm not a big fan, and I'm not saying I'm the biggest. I don't know a lot of what's going on, except for I do know that it's mostly about kids and the class sizes. So I just taught a grade 10, so you can imagine 15, 16-year-olds, their hormones are raging. There's boys and there's girls, and I'm teaching them French, for example. It's not everybody's passion, it's not their lifelong goal. And I've got 32, I had 33 kids. And now they're increasing the class sizes, and I did my best. And some kids loved it, some kids didn't love it. And I'd love to, work one-on-one, but there's never a case. Like, that's impossible. And so to throw more kids into my classroom, that's not serving anybody.
No.
And so that's I think that's why I'm standing, that's what I continue to support. I guess there's a 2% money increase in there. That might be part of it, and there's probably other things that I'm not as informed about. But it's definitely not about, we want more money and we want to work less and we just jerks. So I think but you know what was surprising though? So we went out on that one day, and because we're secondary schools, the parents aren't as, they're not as concerned because their kids can stay at home. They don't need a babysitter. They don't have to take them somewhere. They don't have to pay. They don't have to take a day off. And we've had 5 snow days. So to have a one-day walkout of 5 snow days, last year we had 13. I don't even think they noticed. But I always go there and thinking, I know so many people in Sudbury have lived here 48 years. And I hate when people drive by and give you the finger and tell you to F off. And because they didn't have a positive experience probably in school. But this time around, like the first day, we got honks, we had students come back, students bringing us coffees, and of course they like to bring us Tim Hortons and little donuts. And we had much more support than I ever have had or thought that we'd have, so that was sort of nice, because usually I'm a little bit like,
I find with that too, like I was one of I honked a bunch only because like I didn't have that voice in my head from somebody else saying, oh, they just want more money. And it's like, well, okay, like how do you support that? But then it's a lack of information. Like now I'm informed on the subject enough to go, okay, if you already have, like you said, over 30 kids in a class and you're going to make it bigger. I love having like 5 people in a class, like in college. I was like, man, I'll take 10 people in this class with like a teacher and a TA. By all means, right? You end up learning better, your experience is better, and then nowadays I'm informed, so I'm like, yeah, I'm honking for you guys. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I get that.
Support the troops.
Well, what about the part where my son, who's in grade 8, will have to take an e-learning course starting next year? So I don't know, that's another initiative. So rather than being in front of a human, at 14 years old, they're going to be expected to sit down in front of a computer and learn on their own. Eventually, I think that's a good opportunity in grade 11, 12 to see if that's the type of learner you are, but that's definitely not every single learner.
Yeah, that seems young too. Is that 13?
Yeah, grade 9, so one every year. We have an incredible, Canada's so lucky.
Yeah.
We've got an amazing, in a lot of respects, amazing education system.
Oh, for sure.
And let's put it in front of a computer and, I don't know, I think it's a disservice to young people.
Mm-hmm.
And as you say, a smaller class size. Can you imagine the kid who needs a little bit more attention, wants to ask a few more questions, or it's just not fair.
Right. And actually, I was watching this video. You'd like a real life lore. It's just like a list of like different, like, I'll link it to you. But there's a bunch of different like statistics and stuff, and the way they're presented in video form is super cool. And I think they're saying what they did is for every country in the world, they did what is the number one thing that makes this country number one over everyone in this specific thing. So it could be like most landmines per capita, whatever, like in Serbia is it for that one. But we are the most educated country in the world in terms of the most people has some form of post-secondary like achievement, certificate, skill, diploma, degree, master's, PhD, anything. So it's like,
and what does that translate to? Happier, fitter, more. Translate.
It's unreal though, but yeah, definitely smaller class sizes would be better.
Well, can you imagine the ELKs? And then I've got friends who've got 30 kids who are 5 and 6 who are still wetting themselves, who need constant attention, and now they're going to increase that class size or get rid of the EAs. Can you imagine that's like a bad birthday party every single day where you have to teach them something on top of it all? It's not an easy job.
No, it doesn't sound like it. Like I think people glorify it with you get summers off.
Which is totally awesome.
Yeah,
that's totally
right.
awesome.
Right. I think that supersedes everything being like the tough part about it. I think that glorifies over everything, and people, when they like say about teaching, that's what they focus on, and not actually how difficult it is. So that's just from what I see. But how strict now are the rules for educators?
How
and teachers?
Strict are the rules, like in terms of our discipline?
Yeah, because it almost seems like they can
do whatever they want.
Can do whatever they want, and there's no actions that could really have repercussions. And it makes me nervous.
Are we serving them with having less rules? I'd like to see what happens in the next few years. And definitely teaching 20 years ago is different than teaching today. Positive and negative outcomes. So I remember having a principal, Bruce Hatton, and militant. You wouldn't go into the hallway as a teacher, let alone the students.
No kidding.
And I sort of liked it. I liked hearing his voice on the announcements. It sort of set the tone. Nice. We were very professional. I remember coming in with a very modest shirt, but it cut off on the shoulders. And I was told that I was out of dress code. Wow. And this was at the barbecue before school started. I remember wearing a headband. I think it was a sporty headband. And he told me that was part of like the gang. Like that should be taken off. And I remember having an ear pierced up here. And again, being mildly informed that probably is not the best look. So back in those days, and was that good or bad? I don't know. I didn't mind it. That was all I knew. So now you'd see it's a little bit more relaxed. As you probably heard, the deadlines for submitting things are very loosey. It serves some kids well. I don't think, in general, that it's serving everybody.
Okay.
I know that at our school we still have a dress code
Yeah.
to some extent,
Mhm.
and so we're modest. But other schools, other public high schools in the city have forgone the dress code,
Wow.
and they're still learning. I mean, they're
Yeah.
still.
Right.
I don't know if I'm going to say my opinion, but some
Right,
schools
okay.
can wear hats, some you can't, and you just have to conform or
Yeah.
not. And whether that's something I will die on, a hill I will die on,
Yeah.
I just go with the flow for now. But once again, adolescents are still my favorite people.
Yeah.
And there's still some amazing
Yeah.
kids out there, and I'm not threatened at school. Kids don't tell me
Right.
they're,
Okay.
they're
That's
not
good.
rude,
That's
as
good.
some people would think. They don't tell each other. Like, I still think it's a really good, safe place to be.
Nice.
And if I didn't, then I would probably walk away from
yeah,
the
you wouldn't
job.
be there. Nice.
But the rules that are in place right now are serving our population.
Mhm.
It's just not the same as what you would have been used to.
Interesting.
Mhm.
So with that then, what patterns do you notice in students early on that makes them successful or unsuccessful?
Patterns?
Yeah, what I mean by that is, are you able to tell within the first couple weeks of seeing how the class is to know where it is, where it's going to end up? Say 4 years down the line in grade 12. Do you, like, when you see a student on grade 9 day or like through the first year, do you kind of understand the route they're going to take?
Yep.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I find, like, I read, research and scientific journals about young people, and they've polled like 1,000 kids. But if you can relate for a moment, I've been teaching for 22 years, say 1,000 kids every year. I'm doing anecdotal research every single day.
Right.
So I have seen it, and I've seen patterns, as you're suggesting,
Yeah.
and I can tell you within that first grade 9, from September to October,
Yeah.
how that goes. And then I would be really good in Vegas. I would bet on what's going to happen
Wow.
until grade 11 for sure. Yeah. Boys tend to grow up a little bit more
A lot
slowly.
slower, it feels like.
I think if you're a parent watching this and you've got a young son, if they can make it through grade 9 and 10 without going off the rails,
Yeah.
then they will be just fine.
Right.
And girls, if they can make it through that grade 9 awfulness of teenagehood,
Yeah.
and get to grade 10, they will be fine. And relationships and peer group is still a big factor,
Yeah, I bet.
a huge factor in my opinion. And it's lifestyle choices. And kids are telling, I think you might be surprised, but kids want limits. Like, as much as they say, like, oh, my parents are too strict, my parents take away my phone, my parents want to know where I am.
Right.
I think that they want them, and I think that it serves them because somebody's caring for them,
Yeah.
and they don't have to make these decisions on their own. Because
Okay.
my kids know that if they do something, that I will have to punch them in the head. Not really, but I will have
Yeah.
to kill them. There will be
Right.
consequence. I would be very disappointed, and I think they can use that as oh, my mom would kill me if I did this.
Okay.
And I mean,
Nice.
I'm not the strictest of parents because
Right.
I don't want them to completely, go the
Yeah,
other
go off the
other
rails
direction.
just to spite you. Yeah.
But yeah.
Nice.
So young people, you're asking about routines.
Mhm.
I think staying active or finding a passion. I'm a phys ed person, but I know
Right.
that people who are in the arts or in the drama or something that they like and want to do.
Mhm.
I think that if they had a routine every day, so whether it's getting a part-time job, I agree that if you're not involved with sports or music, or that you should get a job and have a purpose, or volunteer or do something for your community, giving back.
Mhm.
I think going home at 2:20 all day, like 2:20 because our school day is
Yep.
short.
Yeah, it is.
So what do they do from 2:20 till 2 o'clock in the morning? Because adolescents are not sleeping.
No.
They're not getting that 8 to 10 hours. Lots of them are saying they're up at 3 in the morning. And, I had a couple of hours of sleep.
Mhm.
But if they had something to do,
Yeah, take the focus.
Yeah, and it's not schoolwork. I like that.
Yeah, you don't fool nobody.
No,
yeah.
you don't have, and you don't. Yeah, but
okay.
Serve. I think serve people, serve yourself. Have a goal or a mission or a purpose.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. Do you recommend or how do you feel about students taking victory laps?
Oh, well, that's a good question. So in my experience,
mm-hmm.
victory laps have not been beneficial in my experience at my particular school.
Right.
And
why is that?
Well, it depends on why they're coming back.
Okay.
So some of them are coming back to be a sports hero, Hall of Fame, and they just love that grade 12 year, and they have all sorts of plans and goals to retake the classes, and they're going to do better, and in my experience, they come back, and I think that they didn't realize that those peers that they enjoyed so much that year, that fabulous year that they had, their teammates, well, they've moved on, and now all of a sudden you're coming back into a classroom where they're not necessarily your good friends, you're below you.
Yeah.
You come into the classroom and you're like, oh yeah, I've taken this. They still have the same behavior, so maybe they're trying to get a couple of percentage higher to get into a program. But maybe they're coming back because they never attended school.
Mm-hmm.
And then once again, they get into that pattern of, oh, I've seen this, I don't really come, I come and I go. And then they join their sports team, and maybe it's not a great year in terms of their success, and then that's sort of a bummer.
Because all the good players have already graduated.
Yeah,
stuff like that.
and so I think, and in my opinion, if they've got the credits coming back, in my experience, has never been a good idea.
Right.
In my experience, you don't have to go off to post-secondary.
No.
I think getting a co-op, maybe coming back and doing a co-op.
Interesting.
Into whatever field it is. Like go and explore, go and experience that. I think that's worthwhile.
Mm-hmm.
I think getting a job and maybe like working hard for 4 months and then traveling.
Yeah.
I don't think going into post-secondary when you're not ready, you don't know what you're doing, is a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Australia has a great program where they have that gap year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, you finished high school, you've outgrown high school.
You're supposed to.
Yeah, you don't want somebody to tell you to take your hat off. You don't want that.
Favorite part about college? Wear my hat.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Well, in a way better than coming in and having to be following these rules that were charming in grade 9 and grade 10, and then you sort of got, it's sort of old.
Yeah.
You're like an adult.
Sort of, yeah. Weird, like almost adult.
Yeah, you can do all these great, amazing things, but then you're still following these. And there's other, So in my opinion, go and do something else.
Yeah.
You've been to high school for 4 years.
Right.
If you need a credit, you can get credits in such super cool ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no kidding.
Like in Cameron offers and online courses, but it's probably not best to go back.
And do like the same classes you've been doing.
In special circumstances. I know kids have been advanced.
Yes.
And then something went wrong or a medical issue and they really have to come back and it's their first time through these courses. But to come back and then we say, like, oh, come on. For example, we've got kids and like, you're in my class again. I mean, I've got no more tricks for you. My jokes are all the same. You're going to find that sort of dull.
Right. It's going to take away from what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like what the student's trying to achieve.
Mm-hmm. There's so many other things you could do.
Mm-hmm.
Like go and serve in a third world nation. I don't know, whatever it is you want to do.
Something different.
Do something different. I love those kids that go out west and want to go ski and board and be go try that. What an experience compared to coming back to high school.
No kidding.
I say go live.
I didn't write this down. How do you feel? Like, do you recommend kids stay in town for school, for post-secondary?
When it's my own kid and I have to pay the money, I definitely recommend them staying in town. But for everybody else, it's an amazing experience. Oh, it's so costly. It's so costly.
It is,
oh my goodness sakes, I don't know.
It's bad.
I mean, I'm sure there's tons to learn and spread your wings, but at $30,000 a year, if you're gonna blow it, or you don't know that this is your passion and this is your destiny and your family will be.
Yeah, if you don't know, it's
then stay home because, well, luckily in Sudbury we have some pretty great programs at the college level, and the French college level, the university level.
Right.
So, and I think that's a very unique choice based on that individual. So beyond if you can afford it, if you're ready for it, if you want to be independent. Some people not so much. And I think that more than ever, students are doing a program and then going beyond. So if it's not in the next 4 years, maybe when they do like something else, a diploma or a master's, then there's another opportunity to leave. But I don't want, I mean, we just had a co-op or a student from Laurentian from down south, and she's $60,000 in debt. And she's in concurrent education, so she's not going to be made. Well, I mean, I know we're all rich. we're rich teachers. $60,000 in debt, and she hasn't. That's how she's going to be starting her career. So
negative 60 grand.
Yeah. That stresses me out
so much to deal with. I can even imagine that. Wow. Jeez. So what's she gonna do? What do you think? Just work and pay it off? I don't know. Just borrow it? Like GoFundMe?
GoFundMe.
GoFundMe, if you have the right connections, could be pretty beneficial.
Yeah.
But especially for them, I'll donate to their cause. Especially because her education is going to be pretty good, because that program is pretty good. At Laurentian.
Laurentian.
Because what, it's 5 years. So they don't have to go to teachers college, or it's like a mix. I'm not quite sure on that.
Yeah, so I guess when you come out, you get your Bachelor of Education with your Bachelor of Science or Arts, or combined.
Double dip.
That's 5 years, and then try to go find a job.
Yeah, it's tricky.
You have to be willing to travel or move or be flexible or take on a couple of jobs.
I had a friend of mine, Kate, who nurse I was telling you about, came on. One of her friends did I think they did an exchange program in Germany, and then in that, out of that same program, and then when she graduated, she got a job in London, England. Yeah, so it's you're definitely right. People need to be. It's there's nothing here. Well, I tried something else.
Well, it's a good program. At least you can nurse anywhere in the world.
Yeah. True. You can teach
everywhere in the world.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. I almost think it'd be pretty cool to do something like that and then teach somewhere overseas.
For sure, fabulous.
Right? And at least try it out. And if it's not your thing, it's not your thing. Go back home, right? But pay off that debt, 60 grand. So stressing out with somebody else, I know.
I know, I can't internalize it.
So, what's your favorite class to teach?
Oh my goodness.
Or what was your favorite class specifically? It could have been the students that made the class, or it could have been just your favorite overall class to teach.
Well, overall, every class is my favorite class. Every class. I love grade 9.
Yeah.
Because they're just so, okay, I will do anything. And maybe they came from a horrible experience where, they just, for phys ed, for example, sometimes in grade 7, 8, that's not the teacher's specific area of expertise, so they played dodgeball for 3 months, and the girls hated that.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden we're offering different stuff, we do yoga or badminton, and the kids are oh yeah, I love that, this is fun. So grade 9 phys ed is definitely a no-brainer.
Right.
I love that. But then in the last 6 years, bringing yoga to Lockerbie, I love learning still. I love going to classes and borrowing, stealing other people's ideas, and then bringing it back. Sometimes we just we breathe, or we meditate, or we journal, and I love hearing the young people's voices. I love hearing that. So yoga is definitely one of my favorite classes. And then recently I got back into the classroom, so I don't know if you knew, but I'm teaching French. So last semester I taught French immersion, grade 10 French, and I'm I love it. Sweet. I love French music. I love teaching kids where I can see that they will, learn something from me.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
No way. You're French now as well. Wow.
I know.
Yeah.
And so tomorrow's a new semester, and I'm teaching 2 grade 9 Frenches. And once again, I love grade 9 on my people. love them.
Right.
And
So fresh and full of energy.
And you can just do so much. It's going to be so creative.
So with that then, do you have one like highlight moment as a teacher that's kind of made you grateful and or proud to be a teacher? Like one highlight moment.
Oh my
for your
gosh.
career.
One highlight, you know,
If you had one or like
I would need
several.
to think about that, but there's, I think coaching is my highlights, and every year. So if it's a big team and do really, really great, that's a huge highlight. Like the Devin Kershaw years, like highlight. I didn't teach him anything, but it was just nice to be on his coattails and to be interviewed by Radio Canada every year there was an Olympics. Like that was pretty
That's
cool.
Sweet, yeah.
But then also like the little teams, sometimes you know, the little teams, but you get to know the kids better and you see them like, oh my God, they made OFSA because they trained hard.
Mm-hmm.
So that's again a highlight.
Yeah.
Everything's a highlight. I mean,
Yeah.
every kid emails or texts and says, you know, you're my favorite. This is why I want to become a yoga teacher. I'm like, oh,
Nice.
that's my highlight. Or I don't know. There's just so many.
What was that process like bringing yoga into the curriculum?
It was perfect. I mean, it was seamless because it had happened down south,
Right.
alternative programs,
Okay.
and people are always like, "Oh, you offer yoga?" And I said, "Well, it's a senior phys ed. Like we're not scoffing at people play floor hockey and people are getting credits for playing volleyball. This is yoga, which I think is equally as important.
Super beneficial.
And it landed on a good time for young people who are more stressed than ever, more anxious than ever, more depressed, in my opinion. Well, we hear you talk about it, so they might have been before, but you hear about it. And then having a principal who really trusted you as a teacher. So I had creative licensing.
Yeah.
And this is what this is what I'm going to do, and they that sounds good, and then just me in my classroom, nobody's micromanaging it, and if it went well, then I kept it, and if it didn't go so well, then I would change it up. And I love having yoga in the community, so I would tap into a lot of my friends are yoga teachers.
Nice.
And getting some ideas, throwing ideas, and partnership with the yoga instructors. And you know what? I've taught it for 6 years, and I get about 90 kids every year. So something's working.
Yeah.
And then they're repeating. Sometimes they're going to grade 11, and then they asked if we could offer a grade 12 course. I'm like, yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Nice.
So
That must feel good.
Yeah. Feels good for me too.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, no kidding.
Sometimes this is what we're doing today, folks, but they don't realize it's probably for me more than it is for them. But we're gonna breathe, we're gonna pranayama, or we're gonna be muscular because I need to move.
Yeah. Okay, that's pretty cool. You have like that creative freedom to design it, almost like put in parts for you.
Yeah.
But parts for them, but everyone's benefiting from it. Like I don't see how somebody wouldn't.
No. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So, kind of to close then, do you have a favorite quote?
Oh no! Oh, quote. Shoot. Well,
Or like saying or phrase that's you like to use?
okay. Well, I've got a famous quote, but I stole it from Timmins, and it was like, "Pain is only bred in French." That's what I was saying. Well, I like that one. It doesn't really inspire anybody. Oh, and a quote. No, I mean, I'm pretty rough.
Yeah.
I like, suck it up. You're gonna like this because I told you like this. Like, for example, in yoga on Wednesdays we have like a workout Wednesday, and the kids always groan like, "Oh, I don't want to do it. I don't want to put shoes on." And then at the end of the day, they're always like smiling, they're laughing, and I'm like, "You can thank me for that." Like, you don't even know what's good for you.
Yeah. I wish they did too.
No, it's good for you.
It's like people who don't want to work out or exercise or get movement in, at the very minimum movement, right?
Yeah, move in any way you want to.
It doesn't have to be in a weight room
No.
with Lulus on doing bench press. Like, just move.
Just move.
Exercise, move.
Yes.
Pain is only bred in French. Oh man.
I know.
That's
really
funny.
good. You can get a t-shirt with that on.
Yeah, I should. That's a good idea. So yeah, I think that's everything we can cover.
That's a wrap?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're gonna do this again.
Yeah. Oh, definitely, definitely. I'm down. It was for the year ends for sure. Sure.
Okay. Well,
Awesome.
thank you.
Well, thank you very much. I really
Thank you for
appreciate your
having
time. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Appreciate your eyes, ears, and attentions. What's up, everybody? So, you've made it to the end of the video. Thank you. If you're new here, or you like this video and you want to see a bunch of other podcasts or really cool, funny, random content that is probably going to be beneficial for you, let's be honest, you'll love it, you'll appreciate it, because I appreciate you. Click the subscribe button right here. And to see other videos, I have an option. One here. Oh wait, how about one here? And right here. You're gonna click this one? Hit subscribe first.